I know this doesn't have great reviews, but I think John Waters would have directed the shit out of this. This is Drive Away Dolls. This movie stars Margaret Qualley, Geraldine Viswanathan, Beanie Feldstein, Pedro Pascal, Bill Camp, Joey Slotnick. I brought it up when he was in Planes, so I'm going to continue to bring it up now that I see him in things. It's a revival. We're reviving the career of Joey Slotnick. I love it. And Matt Damon. Matt Damon's in this, so I think that's like some spoiler, but he's on IMDb, and he's not even that deep into it's not even one of those things where you have to like scroll down to the end to see, oh, Matt Damon. Spoiler. Anyway, yeah, so let's talk about Drive Away Dolls. Anyway, before I do that, I'm gonna need you to click that subscribe button because there's some thing where we're all like legally obligated to ask for subscriptions within the first section of our videos. It's really so that we can survive. If you look at my views and you realize I'm not even monetized. I basically haven't eaten in years because I can't make money off my YouTube videos. And I'm fat. So what did I used to weigh? Jesus. Anyway, Drive Away Dolls is a lesbian road trip comedy. So of course the first person that you think of to direct this is Ethan Coen. That's obvious. Definitely. That's exactly who I thought. I definitely thought. It also kind of feels like, why didn't the Coens want to do it? Like, why, what, does Joel have a problem with lesbian road trip comedies? Why didn't he want to get in on this sweet, sweet action of Drive Away Dolls? Do you think that Joel read the script and was like, bro, this is all you, man? Nah, no, I don't have time. Like, this made it just an Ethan Coen movie instead of a Coen Brothers movie. But honestly, after seeing this, I fully believe that if you had taken like an audience full of people who consider themselves to be cinephiles, movie buffs, go and grab like 300 people off Letterboxd and show them this film and then ask them, guess who the director is? I don't think anybody would come up with the Coen brothers. None of them. I don't think the people with the widest film knowledge, the ones who are like, I look at the style and the camera angles and I come up with, you know, I see that the color grading reminds me of this and it must be this person. I don't think anybody's gonna come up with this with Ethan Coen. There's really nothing here to suggest that this is an Ethan Coen movie. It's the weirdest thing that he's tried to do. It feels like some lost 90s comedy that feels like he wrote this in the 90s and then didn't make it. And then it's like on his bucket list. He's like, well, I've always wanted to make this. I've been sitting on this script since 1995. So let me punch it up a little bit and we'll put it out there. It feels like it was edgy in 1995. Like when we were making movies like the opposite of Sex. And saying and doing certain things on camera. You were dodging that, NC-17 rating, especially with content that centered around gay and lesbian characters. The primary characters in this, as I mentioned, are lesbian, and they have sex in this. There's sex in this film, and in the 90s would have gotten them into trouble. They would have had to figure out a way how to shoot this. In 2024, time has evolved, and now you've just got a woman, grinding on another woman's face. And it's just like, that's not even, now the MPAA looks at these films and they just go, whatever. Please, pass go, do not collect $200, R. But in the 90s, these films had to walk tight lines and figure out, oh, well, what do we keep? What do we don't cut? I mean, there's a really great documentary. This film is not yet rated. That goes into just how slight some of the cuts were, and how often they were related to LGBT content and also female pleasure. So this would have qualified as both. This definitely, had it dropped in 1995, would have had a really hard time not getting an NC-17 rating. So, but it feels like that. It feels like it's from this ilk of movies that we had back in that time period of Welcome to the Dollhouse and Pecker and I don't know, just those films. I don't want to compare it to But I'm a Cheerleader, because I think But I'm a Cheerleader is a better movie. Actually, all these films are probably better movies, just to be totally honest. Drive Away Dolls just doesn't have much to say or do that hasn't already been done before. It's a very odd plot, and it hopes to rope you in with its oddities. And that is where I think people go, oh, well, that's what makes it a Coen Brothers movie, because it's like, well, Raising Arizona and Big Lebowski were quirky comedies. Sit down, sir. You haven't seen Drive Away Dolls. No, that's kind of just insulting to those films to try to group these in. There's a difference between being something that's like wickedly smart and seems to be making social commentary and also highly inventive and original, and then something that just feels incredibly derivative of things that happened before and feels like something that's just been sitting and molding somewhere in a corner. And Ethan without Joel just he's not bringing anything to this that makes me scream, oh yeah, Coen Brothers, I'm so glad that Ethan Coen is doing this. There's none of that flair here. It's just all this weird, quirky comedy, and which is why I said John Waters, is because I'm thinking, well, even when John doesn't direct something that's great, he still takes big swings. It's still risque. It's still what it needs to be. It's still Daltrey Calhoun, if you get what I'm saying. Like, it still is what it needs to be. And I feel like John Waters would have been a much better choice for this film than Ethan directing his own script. I don't know what compelled Ethan Coen to write a lesbian road comedy. You know, they always say, like, write what you know. What does he know about this? You know, like, what kind of research did he do? Or is this just what he thinks lesbians do all the time? You know, I don't know. This is very weird. Didn't really care for it. It's long. I didn't think the humor was that funny. Nothing in this film really worked for me. The performances are fine because they have good actors in here. So that's one thing where I won't complain about the performances, because just with the material that's being given to them, I think they're fine. I don't think anybody in here did a bad job. There's nothing in here that deserves a Razzie nomination. That's for sure. So that keeps it elevated. If I'm trying to do a compliment sandwich here, I'd be like, well, coming in at the end, what did I like? I don't know. Acting's fine. Runtime is not too long, but it's hard to say that this film doesn't overstay its welcome, because it feels sort of like it's wandering the whole time. It's like it's meandering. It doesn't really have... it's not as clear and concise as you would think in terms of a plot. It's just sort of like, here we're doing this thing. If you're wondering, like, what the fuck's up with the title, by the way, there's a company. It's a car rental company, and that's what Drive Away is. Drive Away is the company. It's like, I don't know, Enterprise Dolls would be like a real world if they were, linked with an actual company that does Hertz dolls, it's that's what that is. They rented a car from the company Drive Away, and they're driving to Tallahassee, and one of the girls wants to go down to Tallahassee, and spend some time down there, and everybody just keeps looking at her every time she brings it up like she's a weirdo. She's like, what? They have Spanish moss down there. I hear it's beautiful. I'm like, all right, well, have fun. Um, anyway, this is just kind of like a waste of time. Audio description wise, I actually thought the audio description for this was pretty good. I'm gonna be honest. The audio description might be better than the film. So if you're blind like me and you're looking for a accessible lesbian film, this is pretty good. I love the word undulating. I thought that was great. I don't know if it's the most accessible word. I don't know if the average audience member knows what that is, but I also don't think the average audience member, I don't think somebody who didn't make it out of the 5th grade is sitting there going, drive away dolls. This feels up my alley. I don't know. But I thought the stuff was described really well, especially in terms of the sex scenes, which I've mentioned this before and some other things. I know you literally have to go through all of my reviews, but I've mentioned this before. There's something about when you open a film with a sex scene. Basically, they open with a sex scene here. It's lazy. It's like, I feel like it's just like letting people know it's done. It's been done to death. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, earn your R rating right off the bat. Cool. Got it. Thanks, Ethan, for using your skill levels, your master directorial skill levels that you've achieved over years of directing these great films, where you just sort of lazily put a sex scene at the opening, at the front of the film, just to let people know what kind of film you're making. It's like, okay, I'm not a prude, but there are so many films that do that. It's very lazy. They're like, well, R, just to let you know. And just in case you accidentally brought your kid to this movie, you should be running from the theater right now. A lot of films that do that. This film does it right away. Up at the top, but you get a pretty strong lesbian sex scene. Anyway, actually, you get a sort of like a little tag, a little sort of somewhat violent tag, that you're wondering how this tags into Drive Away Dolls, and then it sort of actually gets into the story, and that's when you get the sex scene. So it sort of opens with it. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. This film has I would say, pretty great audio description. I don't know that it's the best of the year, but describing sex can get kind of monotonous, and I've seen a lot of people who just kind of, I'm tired of hearing thrusting. Oh my God, please come up with another word. Just like everybody's thrusting all the time. It's really hard to do, and just keep using the same words over and 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 over. It's exhausting, but I felt like there was some creativity here in terms of the description. As far as the rest of the film just, I don't know, it just isn't that interesting. I just didn't find it to be that interesting. I can't even, like, if they do or do not describe somebody well enough, I'm not even, like, mad at it, because I'm like, I don't even know that this is that, I think about the sort of the character designs in some of the other Coen brothers movies, and how they're very quirky. And I think about this film, and I feel like this feels like somebody, I could understand that if I went and saw this at a festival, and then the director came out afterwards and he listed his, some of the people who inspired him. If he said the Coen brothers alongside some other directors, I would understand that. But honestly, if I was watching this and then they were like, it's a surprise, guess who the director is? And out comes Ethan Coen, I'd be like, really? I'd be like telling me Saving Private Ryan was directed by the Farrellys. Like, it doesn't feel like it at all, you know? It's just like, it's like, I couldn't find a film that feels less like a Coen Brothers movie to me. You could maybe go, okay, well, there's kind of quirky characters in here, so I guess this director could have been inspired having watched Coen Brothers, but to actually have a Coen in this? The hell is wrong with him? Anyway, don't bother. This is kind of a waste of time. I would say the performances kind of save it a little bit. But yeah, I wanted it to be better. And there's something to be said for the fact that Ethan Coen is a good enough director to keep this from being absolute garbage. So even with the Coen brother movies I don't like, there's something that's interesting about them that keep them from being like the worst films of those years. Not a big fan of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I know. Shocker. But even that is striking and original enough that what they did with it was keeps it from being one of the worst films of the year. And some other films I've already seen this year, I already get the feeling that, I gave Megamind and the Doom Syndicate a D+. I'm going to give Drive Away Dolls a C-, because even though it's uninspired and you kind of just wonder, like, why does this exist? Why is this a Coen Brothers movie? It's definitely better than Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate, which is definitely better than something else, which is definitely better than, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all like a step. It's a step system here. So Drive Away Dolls gets a C-. It still would be, I would be giving this rotten if I was a tomato meter critic. So anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.